Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Keith Miller, and I am extremely excited today to talk to you about the Maxwell Disc Method and the best ways to figure out how to find a way to connect with others. Because as leaders, we know that communication is the key. We want to make sure that we can communicate better at work and at home, but we also want to be able to make sure that we place employees in the correct role that they're going to be in. A little bit about me. My name is Keith Miller. I have a bachelor's degree in education, a master's degree in leadership. I am also certified in the John Maxwell method to be a teacher, trainer, and coach. I've also, my work background is I was a United States Army Sergeant as a military policeman, a teacher, a principal, business owner, sales manager, general manager of a car dealership. And there's my contact information below. I'll make sure that you all get that on the last slide if you need to reach out and contact me, have any questions, or want to know a little bit more about the DISC method. What you can expect from today. Today we're going to go over how you can recognize patterns of behavior in yourself and others and the 4 primary DISC styles. Why is that important? I'm going to explain. It's better. Once you understand the DISC styles and what they stand for, you can better communicate with those in your personal life and at work, and then key strategies to improve that. All right, take a look at this. A little quick exercise. We're going to take 15 seconds. I'm going to explain what you're going to do. You're going to find the number 1, and you're going to go in sequential order, 2, then 3, to see how many numbers you can find in 15 seconds. So once again, you're going to find, starting with number 1, as high as you can in sequential order in 15 seconds, and go. All right, time is up. How did y'all do? How about if how many of you were able to get at least to 44? I'm guessing not too many. But if I showed you this and then told you that the number 1 was here, number 2 is here, number 3 is in the lower right-hand quadrant, and the 4 is over here, and you guessed it, we're going to go back up to the upper left-hand quadrant, and then number 6, I'm willing to bet once you knew what the pattern was, you'd get a lot further. So if I gave this to you all over again and said do it, you would probably be able to go at least 4, 5, or 6 times further. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. What is the experience? Is the power of knowing the pattern. As I just showed you, once you know a pattern, you're able to do a lot more, probably 4 or 5 times more than what you did previously. Same thing when we're going to be communicating. Once you know what somebody's pattern is or what their preference is, you're going to do much better in communicating and get a lot further with them. A little bit about the DISC method. William Marston is the founder. He wrote a book in the 1920s about DISC, and it has 4 predominant personality profiles. The dominating profile, the influence profile, steadiness, and compliant. Now, what I don't want you to get from this is thinking that we're going to put your personality in a box and close it, because that's not what we're going to do. However, each of us has 1 point, 2 points, or even 3 styles that dominate us. So today, what I want to help you do is recognize those patterns that illustrate yours or somebody else's behavioral preference, and how we can use those natural preferences to connect and influence people better. So here we have those 4 styles. So you have the D, the I, the C, and the S. So if you look at the D for the dominant and the I, those are your active styles. So those are the more of the people-oriented. Then you have below the line, if I would divide that north and south at the halfway point, the C and the S's are going to be your passive. Now, if I divide that north and south, and you have the left side and the right side, you have the D and the C. These are task-oriented people, and the I's and the S's are more people-oriented styles. Now, the styles that are polar opposites are in diagonals. So the D and the S's are polar opposites. They have a hard time. So that's important to know when you're in a leadership position in your organization, how to better navigate, or the D better understanding the S and the S understanding the D. And it makes things a lot easier, as is the I and the C are polar opposites. So bear with me on this little story. Let's say you're getting ready to get, the elevator opens. If you're this type of person, you're going to walk into this elevator and you're hoping, A, nobody else is in there. And if there is, you're kind of looking down at your shoes, looking at the numbers and hoping that nobody opens their mouth until that door opens. If that's you, just nod your head. If that's you, you are reserved in nature for the most part. And remember, those are your C's and your S's. Same scenario, same elevator. If you're this person, you can't wait for that elevator door to open. You're hoping that there's somebody in there. You're going to strike up the conversation. You're going to say, hello, how are you doing? You're going to make small talk. You're going to talk about the weather, talk about the game from the night before. If this is you, you are more outgoing, and you're usually probably going to be a D or an I. Now, D's, a little bit about our D's. And this is really important. Number one is D's make up about 3% of the population. And another thing about the D's are some of their strengths are they are very strong-willed, they're extremely productive, they're visionaries, they're optimistic, they do have a compulsive need to change. So if you have an organization and you're about to make a change in your organization, you want a D right by your side or helping lead the way. Some of their relational characteristics, they're at home, they establish goals, they motivate the family to action, they seem to know the right action. You may be either they know the right answer. So you may be in a relationship or know somebody that knows all the answers. They have little need for a lot of friends, and they excel in emergencies. Some of their characteristics at work are they're very goal-oriented. They see the whole picture. They move quickly to action. They delegate it very well, and they thrive on opposition. They're not afraid of confrontation either. But some of their limitations are they can come across as unsympathetic and cold, self-sufficient and domineering. They can be argumentative and impatient at times. They don't give up even when they're losing. They're not complimentary and sometimes can come across as unemotional. At home, they tend to be too busy for family, impatient with poor performance. They don't let the kids relax at home. And if you have a spouse that's like this, sometimes that are a D, they can't say that they're sorry. At work, some of their limitations are they don't like details. They don't like to analyze details. They just like to do. Sometimes they come across as rude and tactless, but they demand loyalty in the ranks. Now, the I's, your I's make up 11% of your population. And some of the characteristic of the I's, some of their strengths are they're very outgoing and charismatic. They're talkative in the life of the party. They're generous and sincere at heart. They have a good sense of humor. Some of their characteristics at home, they're liked by their children's friends. They can turn a disaster into humor. So if you have this person in the workplace, no matter how bad things are, they're going to make it funny. They like spontaneous activities. They're also party planners. These are the folks that you want. If you want to keep an atmosphere lively, you want an I on your team. Trust me. Some of the occupational characteristics at work: they volunteer for jobs. They think up new activities. They have energy and enthusiasm, and they're always inspiring others to join with them. So I's have that outgoing personality. Some of their limitations are sometimes they can be undisciplined and weak-willed. They're restless and naive at times. They get angry easily too, as well. So if you know that about an I, and you're a D, you're not going to take offense to it. Sometimes they come across as a little phony. At home, they're disorganized and can be forgetful. They don't listen to the whole story because they have a lot to say. Don't forget that. They dominate conversations sometimes, and if they don't get things done, they like to make excuses. At work, they would rather talk than work. They forget about their obligations. Their confidence fades fast, and they're easily distracted, so don't put them near a window. Sometimes that could be a difficult thing for them. Remember, they're relationship-oriented. Their greatest fear is rejection or loss of approval, so keep that in mind. The next personality trait, which is the S. This is 69% of the population. They're team-oriented, they follow through, they're loyal, they're likable and diplomatic, they're dependable, easygoing and relaxed, patient and well-balanced. Some of their home characteristics are in relationships. They make good parents. They can make good with the bad, or they take the good with the bad. They don't get upset easily. They're great listeners. They have several close friends. Some of their strengths at work are they're competent and steady. They mediate problems. They're going to get in between. They're going to be your good mediators. They don't like conflict. They avoid it. They're good under pressure. and they find the easy way to get things done. They like steady. They're going to be your employees that stay 3, 4, 5, 6, and 20 years and beyond because they don't like change very much. Some of their limitations are they're unmotivated sometimes. They like to be the spectator. They don't want to be the leader. Sometimes they can be indecisive and fearful. They don't like the responsibility. They're not, like I said before, they're not leaders. At home, during their home life, they don't organize the home very well. They kind of like kind of laid back. They're judgy. They judge others. Sometimes they can be sarcastic and teasing. At work, they're not goal oriented. They can appear to have a lack of motivation, and sometimes they get discouraged by others. When you're thinking about these folks, your S's, keep in mind their greatest fear is loss of security and confrontation. So D's can be very confrontational, and the S's don't really like confrontation very much. So it's really important to understand that. The next one is your C's. Your C's are going to be very compliant. They're analytical. They're planners. They're accurate. And a couple other things with the C's characteristics are they're very loyal. They're self-disciplined. They're serious and purposeful. They're genius prone. And they're usually artistic or musically gifted. At home, some of their strengths are they set high standards. They want everything done right. They encourage scholarship and talent. And they avoid causing attention. Some of the things at work, some of their strengths at work are they're schedule oriented, they're perfectionists, they're persistent. They also love charts and graphs. So if you have an employee that is a C, they love charts and graphs. So if you have to do a presentation, you can put them in charge of that and they'll fly with it. Trust me. Some of the limitations are that sometimes they have unrealistic goals. They're socially insecure at times. They're critical and unforgiving. And they hold back affection in home and relationships. At work, they're not really people-oriented at times. Sometimes they can be depressed over their imperfections. And sometimes they can be hesitant to start new projects, and it's because they spend way too much time planning. They overanalyze instead of putting action to it. So if you know what that C is doing, that they are a C actually, then you'll know how to give them time and sometimes you just got to kick them a little bit to get them started. Sometimes they can appear hard to please, but they have this deep need for approval, and their greatest fear, believe it or not, is criticism. So John Maxwell states that connecting increases your influence in every situation. He also says that leadership can be defined in one word, and that's influence. And influence, we can influence people in a negative way or a positive way. And with this disc, once you learn the personalities and understanding how to deal with them, you can better influence those around you. Quickly, when communicating with a D, listen, be brief, be direct, get to the point. Ask what, not how questions. Focus on results. Do not ramble. D's don't like rambling, especially it's a hard thing for the I's. Discuss problems and its effects and its outcomes. When communicating with an I, don't do all the talking. Don't ignore their ideas. Allow time for socializing. Remember, these folks like to socialize. Follow up with the details in writing. And because, listen, they don't pay attention to details, so it's a good time, a good opportunity or a good thing to follow up with that. And then break things up. If you're going to give a presentation or you're going to talk to them, do short 10-minute things and call them back in and do another 10 minutes or 15 minutes until you're finished, because they need things broken up. Their attention span isn't what an I would be. I'm sorry, what a C would be. In communicating with an S, create a friendly tone. They want to listen. They want to connect with people first. Show interest in them as a person. Don't be overly aggressive, and that's hard for D's to do. Minimize the potential for confrontation. Give definition to the goal and everyone's role, and then give them time to adjust. Remember, these are 69% of your workforce. They don't like change, so give them time to adjust, okay? And communicating with a C, provide all the details. Use validated facts. Be precise because they're going to expect it. Be very specific. Be patient. They're going to ask a lot of questions, but provide them with all of those details because they're going to need it in order to be able to move forward. It's not that they're questioning you, they just want all of the information. So here's what we did. Today we talked about how to recognize the patterns of the people around us and seeing how they may be wired in their disc style. And what we also want to do is, moving forward, once we know that how someone is wired, we can build an even deeper relationship and make connections. Because once we can build the relationship and make connections, we can better influence them. As we close, identify the thing that really sticks out in your mind from all that I shared with you today. What is the one thing that you've learned or will do differently as a result of what I talked about with you today? Please, we all have a distinct combination of the 4 types. If you'd like to learn the degree to which you are D, an I, an S, or a C, please reach out to me. We'll discover your profile. We'll communicate. We will learn your fears, what really motivates you, and much, much more. And as I promised, the last slide, here is my contact information. If you want me to help you personally or come into your organization, reach out. There's my cell phone and my email. I look forward to hearing from you.